All right, let's look at what happened on the first season of Netflix's romantic experiment to see if love is blind. Firstly, the show is hosted by couple Nick and Vanessa Lachey and can be broken up into 3 sections: the pods, the retreat, and the apartments. In the pods, the singles get to know each other without being able to see each other at all. They talk through a wall. If they get engaged, they do a reveal and then take off to the retreat for a week. After that, they move to an apartment complex and begin introducing their new partner to their friends and family and simulate real life for 4 weeks. At the end of this, they have a wedding where they decide if they will get married at the altar. Each season also has specials updating how the couples are doing, called After the Altar. Season 1 of Love is Blind takes place in Atlanta, Georgia, and premiered in February of 2020. The couples of Season 1 include Lauren and Cameron, Amber and Barnett, Gigi and Damien, Jessica and Mark, Kelly and Kenny, and Diamond and Carlton. Now, in the pod stage, most of our couples found each other fairly quickly and began their journey towards engagement. Lauren and Cameron were the first to get engaged and immediately became the most stable couple of the season. There's usually at least one. Kelly and Kenny are the next couple to make it official, and they seem to be another solid couple. Carlton proposes to Diamond, and while she says yes, we know that he still hasn't told her he's bisexual. Damien and Gigi come next. He gives her an empty box, tying a bow around his wrist, saying he is her gift, but then she makes her mark by proposing back to him. Now we get into the juicy stuff, the love triangles. Jessica is dating both Mark and Barnett and struggling to decide between them. She really likes Mark, but she worries about the 10-year age difference, understandable, and she loves how much Barnett makes her laugh. But that's not all, because Mr. Barnett is in a love triangle of his own, or should I say a love square? He is not only involved with Jessica, but also Amber and LC. Jessica originally tells Mark she wants to explore things with someone else, but when Barnett cuts her loose, she comes back to him and he eventually proposes. Barnett then has to decide between LC, who he thinks is a lot like himself, and Amber, who he says scares the heck out of him. Ultimately, he ends up proposing to Amber and they become the final couple. The pod star of Season 1 is Rory, who can be seen counseling all of the men throughout the entire process. An interesting note, there were more engagements than we saw on the show. Production thought they would only get a few engagements, and were very surprised when they got 8. Because of this, production was only able to accommodate so many, and chose not to follow the others, a choice that will happen frequently in future seasons as well. At the retreat, Lauren and Cameron discuss potential issues that could come from being an interracial couple, but they seem very happy and in love. Kelly and Kenny seem pretty solid, but they aren't getting as physical as some of the other couples. Gigi and Damien have a few miscommunications, and he reveals that he may not have a job when they return home. Amber and Barnett seem very into each other, being very open and physical. Jessica struggles with her attraction level to Mark, still bothered by the 10-year age gap. Everything is made worse when the couples come together and she gets to actually see Barnett. She eventually stops wearing her engagement ring, but Mark continues to fight for her. Carlton reveals his sexuality to Diamond, who asks for time to process the information. When they meet again, the conversation deteriorates quickly, and they exchange hostile words and break up. The couples move into the apartments and begin integrating into each other's lives. Lauren and Cameron seem to continue their steady progression. He even raps for her mom and wins over her very skeptical dad. Gigi and Damien struggle with intimacy issues, having many awkward arguments, sometimes even while in whole different rooms. Damien's parents canceled their meeting, causing yet another fight, but then her family causes her to question if she's really ready for marriage. Kelly and Kenny make the bold move of bringing both their parents together, which actually goes very well. Unfortunately, they're also struggling with intimacy, or should I say, lack of intimacy issues. Amber reveals she has a lot of student debt and a questionable credit score, making Barnett wonder if he's ready to take all of that on. The family meetings seem to go well, but his brother is very skeptical. Jessica and Mark continue to struggle with the age difference, his obsession with his mom, and her preoccupation with Barnett. Whenever alcohol is involved, which is often, she seems jealous, even interrogating Barnett about his connection with Amber. Mark sets up a date to simulate the pods, hoping to remind Jessica where their connection came from. At the bachelorette party, all the women are very intoxicated when Jessica and Amber have a strange drunk conversation that ends with Jessica kissing her. A very awkward and weird moment. The first couple to the altar are Gigi and Damien. She tearfully says, "I do," but Damien says, "I do not." She lashes out at him, feeling humiliated, even ripping her dress to give him his symbolic bow back. Next is Amber and Barnett. She's worried as he seems to have disappeared. But he does show up eventually, and they both say, "I do." Kelly and Kenny are up, and she struggles with how fast this whole process has been, claiming Kenny gives her a best friend vibe. At the altar, Kelly goes first and says, "I don't." Jessica and Mark have their moment, and he says, "I do." But after a dramatic pause, Jessica says, "I cannot." Finally, Lauren and Cameron have their turn, and as expected, they both say yes. So, all in all, 2 couples actually got married at the end of the season. At the reunion a year later, we see both couples still happy together, and Gigi and Damien are actually dating. Amber has some very harsh words for Jessica, who apologizes, but it doesn't seem to help. Carlton apologizes to Diamond, both having received harsh reactions from keyboard warriors, as Vanessa calls them. Another year after that, both couples are celebrating their 2-year anniversaries. Bad blood remains between Jessica and Amber, and Carlton feels ostracized from the group. Apparently, Mark hooked up with LC from the pods, but is having a baby with someone else. Though still supposedly with Gigi, Damien brings Francesca from Too Hot to Handle to the party, resulting in both women ending up angry with him. And that is where we end Season 1 of Love is Blind. If you want more from this cast, you can see LC, Damien, and Diamond on Netflix's other dating show, Perfect Match. Thanks for watching. I was trying something new here. If you'd like to see me do other seasons of Love is Blind or any other reality show, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.